The first thing I heard when I pulled in my driveway was that backup beep, that shrill, mechanical, I'm about to ruin your day soundtrack you usually hear in a parking lot, not on your own land. And I remember just sitting there with my engine running, thinking no way. That sound does not belong behind my house. I've been gone 3 days on a work trip, living off bad hotel coffee and airport pretzels, dreaming about my couch and a cold beer, and instead I'm staring at my backyard like it just declared independence. My place sits on about 2 acres that used to be farmland, an old 1960s build, creaks in the winter, sweats in the summer, nothing fancy, but it's mine. Years ago, developers came in like polite locusts and wrapped a shiny subdivision around me. Sunset Ridge Estates. Of course, it's called something that sounds like a cologne ad. Rows of cookie-cutter houses, tiny lawns, big opinions. The key detail, the thing that matters when people start acting entitled, is this. My deed says I'm not part of their HOA. Never was, never will be. So I follow the beeping around back, and I swear my brain needed a full second to process what my eyes were seeing. There's a mini excavator parked where my rose garden used to be. Not near it, not close to it. In it. Tracks grinding into soil I'd babied for 5 years, bushes torn out like weeds, irrigation lines hanging loose like exposed nerves. And along the edge where my property line meets the neighbor's yard, there's a trench 6 feet deep, maybe 20 feet long, like somebody decided to build a moat for a castle they absolutely do not deserve. 2 workers in hard hats are leaning over a site map on the hood of their truck. They look up when they see me, and there's that flicker in their eyes. Oh, we didn't expect the homeowner to have a pulse. I keep my voice level. Yelling just gives idiots something to ignore. Excuse me, I say, hands open calm. What's going on here? The older guy squints at me. You live here? Yeah, this is my property. Why are you digging up my yard? They exchange that look, the hourly paid but not trying to get sued look. The younger one taps the map. We've got a work order. Foundation for a pool. According to this, the property line's right here. He shows me the paper, and there it is, a neat little line slicing off my rose garden and about 15 feet of my backyard like it's cake at a kid's birthday party. That's wrong, I say. That line is way off. This is all mine. And that's when I hear footsteps behind me. Unhurried, confident, the sound of a man who's never been told no at a neighborhood meeting. My neighbor strolls up in a golf polo with the subdivision logo stitched over his chest like a badge. Let's call him Bill, because the universe tends to give small dictators very normal names. There you are, he says, smiling like this is all a pleasant misunderstanding. I was wondering when you get back. I look at him, then at the shredded remains of my roses. Bill, what the hell is this? He doesn't flinch. The board approved the pool expansion last Tuesday. You should have gotten the email. What email? I'm not in your HOA. He laughs. Not friendly, more like a pat on the head. Everything on this block falls under the association. Don't be difficult. We're actually doing you a favor. Cleaning up that eyesore garden. New landscaping plan will increase property values. I feel that heat rise in my chest, the kind that tries to turn you into a headline. But here's the thing. The fastest way to lose against a guy like Bill is to play his game. He wants you loud and emotional so he can call you unstable while he steals your land with a smile. I need to see the city permits for this excavation, I say. Bill steps forward like a bouncer at a club nobody asked to enter. I'm the HOA president. The board has authority over neighborhood improvements. Actually, I say, voice steady, you don't have authority over my deed. He switches to that sugary tone. I understand you're not used to how things work in a proper community. The infinity pool requires extending the foundation into this area for water flow. It's for the good of everyone. The older worker clears his throat. Maybe we should verify the boundaries. No need, Bill snaps. I surveyed it myself. And that's when I know, oh, you're not just wrong, you're lying. I tell the workers to shut it down. Bill tells them to keep digging. So I walk inside, grab my phone, come back out, and hit record. Not to be dramatic, because documentation changes behavior. For the record, I say loud enough for everyone. I am the owner of this property, and I do not give permission for excavation here. You are trespassing. Bill goes red. You can't record people without permission. On my land? Yeah, I can. I call the non-emergency police line. Then the county building inspector. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. And here's where it turns cinematic, because instead of pacing, instead of yelling, I drag out a lawn chair and a cooler and plant myself right in the swing path of that excavator. Crack the lid like I'm tailgating a lawsuit. What are you doing? Bill asks. Sitting on my property. The building inspector shows up first. Woman in her 50s, eyes that say she spent 20 years explaining to grown adults that rules are real. She asks for permits. Bill hands her HOA paperwork. She flips through it. Where's the city permit? We don't need one, Bill says. The HOA has authority. She doesn't raise her voice. Sir, excavation over 2 feet requires a city permit. Utility markings. Soil analysis. An approval this close to a property line. I bring out my original survey. She compares it to the site map. You can see the moment it clicks. This excavation, she says clearly, is on the wrong property. Bill tries to argue that property lines shift over time. I almost laugh, like the earth just gently scoots fences around when no one's looking. She steps back and says loud enough for the neighbors gathering with phones out, I'm issuing a stop work order. Unpermitted excavation, failure to mark utilities, setback violations. How much are the fines? I ask, starting at $5,000. The police officer arrives, takes statements, looks at the trench, the destroyed landscaping, the paperwork. Criminal trespassing and property damage, he confirms. And just like that, the king of Sunset Ridge is standing in a muddy trench of his own making. But here's the twist, the part one didn't see coming. Once Bill got checked publicly, something shifted in the neighborhood. People started showing up on my porch like I was running a support group. One guy tells me the HOA tried to force him to remove a fence that was actually 2 feet inside his own line. A woman says they made her move a shed that was perfectly legal under city code. Turns out Bill had been redrawing reality all over that subdivision. Boundaries, violations, improvements, counting on the fact that most folks are too busy, too tired, too conflict-averse to fight. 3 weeks later, I see Bill loading boxes into his car. Word spreads fast. He tried to finance the pool and the legal mess. The bank ran a title search, found my attorney's lien attached. The county flagged his property for code violations. The HOA board held an emergency meeting and voted him out once they realized his ego was their liability. For 2 weeks, his backyard sits there, a muddy crater filling with rainwater, breeding mosquitoes like nature itself is rolling its eyes. The HOA has to use reserve funds to fix it. Everyone's dues go up. Bill sells at a loss. Bankruptcy follows. The Polo logo disappears. My yard takes 3 months to recover. I go all in, mature rose bushes, upgraded irrigation, fresh topsoil. By summer, it looks better than it ever did. Stronger, fuller, like it survived something and decided to bloom out of spite. And then, another twist, the county audits HOA project from Bill's tenure. Turns out that fancy entrance gate, partly on city land, decorative stone walls, built on private property without permission, landscaping contracts, paid to a company owned by Bill's brother-in-law. Invoices that didn't match the work. One evening there's a knock on my door. Bill's ex-wife. Calm, tired eyes. She thanks me. Says watching him face consequences was the first time she felt like the world admitted she wasn't crazy. That hit me harder than the trench ever did. Because here's the thing I learned. Power doesn't always look like a badge or a weapon. Sometimes it's a clipboard, a committee, a guy who speaks confidently and expects everyone else to be too exhausted to question him. And if nobody pushes back, people like that don't calm down. They escalate. They test the fence line of your life inch by inch until you're standing in a hole they dug, wondering how it got that far. The satisfying part, the steel-toed karma part, is this: Bill didn't just lose a pool. He lost his title, his reputation, his house. The neighborhood he tried to control paid a 6-figure price, cleaning up his mess while he disappeared into legal paperwork and silence. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on my porch, watching roses bloom in soil that is unquestionably mine. So here's the question I can't shake. Where's the line between standing up for yourself and going too far? When someone abuses a little power to hurt people, do they deserve quiet forgiveness or loud consequences? Was I right to make it expensive and public, or should I have taken the let's settle like neighbors route? And if you've ever dealt with an HOA, a landlord, a boss, anybody who tried to flex fake authority on you, I want to hear it. Drop your story. Tell me where you drew your line. Because sometimes the only thing standing between you and a trench in your backyard is the moment you decide to pull out a lawn chair and say, no,